So today I want to talk to you about smartphone usage and children. Is it okay? Should it happen? Should there be a ban? Keep on watching, keep on listening to hear my thoughts. Welcome back to consecutive day 1663 of a diary of a Runpreneur. And today's topic is all about smartphone usage and children. So the reason for the topic is I've recently watched a documentary on Channel 4 called Swiped by, and it was kind of a research study whereby Matt and Emma Willis were hosting it, where I think there was 21 days where a ban of smartphone devices or electrical devices was put upon a class of year 8 students, so 13 and 14 year olds. Ultimately, the teachers got involved, some of the parents got involved as well, and it was really kind of eye-opening. But before I kind of go into the detail, I do remember that this is a fundraiser for saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon from vlogging on consecutive days, distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style. So give us some engagement, the more people we get in front of, more money we raise, and quite simply the more children's lives we save, which is why I do this every single day. So back to the topic at hand. This was a documentary that me and my wife decided to watch together, but also with my two oldest children. So I have a 13-year-old nearly turning 14, and I have a 12-year-old little girl who's in year 7. So I have a year 9 and year 7. Now this study was to do with year 8 children, so they were really kind of useful to kind of watch it with them. And yeah, there's not been, when I think back to documentaries I've watched and the ones that have kind of been incredibly influential on me as a person, I go back to kind of Game Changers, What is Health. These are kind of nutrition and diet related documentaries, but this one hit equally as hard because it was to do with the impact of smartphone usage within children. And this is kind of coming off the back of Australia announcing that they're banning all social media apps for children under the age of 16. And I think that the problems now are becoming so severe with smartphones and children that something needs to be done at a high level. And let's be honest, you know, I'm an adult and I'm just as addicted to my phone as anybody else. When I say addicted, I have to use it more for kind of work. I use it less for kind of social engagements and things like that, but it's still a massive part of my life. And so I can kind of empathise with kind of what's happened. And the odd occasion where I've been on camping trips or something where signals just hasn't been possible, it's felt like a huge air of kind of freedom, which I've just loved. And but you still have that kind of anxiety that you're going to miss something that's really important, because your whole life seems to be embroiled upon this little smart device that you carry around with you everywhere. And but the scary thing is that my mind is developed. It's an adult mind. It's the impact that these devices are having on children and the access to content that these children have in the developing mind. And you know, ultimately there was clear, conclusive evidence suggesting that there's far more mental health related issues affecting our children when it comes to depression, anxiety, all of these kind of things that are highly influenced by their smart devices. It became fairly conclusive that it was these smart devices that had caused all these additional mental health challenges within children. And that's incredibly sad, because I go back to my childhood and you know, it was all outdoors, you know, real person-to-person engagement, you know, a lot more activities, sports and things. The children now are just devoting so much of their time to a smart device that they don't know what it's like to be bored. And that's really dangerous, because, you know, boredom is something in life that as a child growing up, we kind of found workarounds to kind of do things to not be bored, which enabled us to be more creative, more kind of social with people, play games, real games, not virtual ones. And the children of today are not getting that. They can be completely entertained with the whole world of content on a smart device in front of them. And that kind of leads me on to the next thing. It's the content that they're also accessing, which is highly alarming. I mean, I think it was like 10% of 9-year-olds had seen pornographic content. I mean, that is just frightening. And the other thing is that, you know, the Matt and Emma Willis, who were hosting this kind of experiment, they were doing experiments within it whereby they took on a new mobile device because they'd given theirs away for the 21 days as well. So they're a completely new basic smartphone device, and they were, you know, setting it up as a 13-year-old. And they were just seeing the type of content they could access as a 13-year-old. And it's just jaw-dropping that with one button to say that you are actually over the age of 18, when you could blatantly lie, gets you in front of all kinds of highly inappropriate, you know, pornographic, illegal content. I'm not saying that pornographic content is illegal, but there's lots of illegal content online that children are able to access just through the simple click of stating that they are above the age of 18, when there's no checking or protection of that. It's just alarming. And I think the most, you know, it was very emotional watching it, because obviously I'm a parent of children within a similar kind of age category that these kids were going through, and then they'd take you to kind of families that had the worst ever experience from smartphones with their children. Situation where children have lost their lives either through, you know, accessing content which was, you know, instructing them to partake in some kind of crazy cult-like activity that went wrong, or whether it was, you know, getting involved in challenges and things that also go wrong. Just being, you know, enticed into doing things that they should never ever be experimenting with or engaging with at the age they are. It's resulted in loss of life. And the scary thing is this statistic is growing. There are many, you know, children out there now that are losing their lives due to the content they're accessing. The other thing was like apps like TikTok and kind of social media platforms where you're swiping and engaging in things, and how the algorithm will then put more relevant content towards you. Well, again, in the experiment where the two hosts were pretending to be 13-year-olds, the content that they were passed on to after just a couple of hours of swiping was scary. The kind of inappropriate content they were seeing was just incredibly alarming. And the problem is with inquisitive children's minds that when something inappropriate comes up, they're not just going to swipe off and go, oh, I don't want to see that. They're inevitably going to engage and look at it. And then the problem is the algorithm then kicks out more of this inappropriate, incredibly inappropriate content into the minds of our children. And yeah, it was just an incredibly eye-opening and alarming documentary to witness. And I think ultimately the learnings from my diary from today's episode, watching it, is first and foremost, if you've not watched the Channel 4 documentary, if you're based in the UK, called Swiped, and you have children, then you need to watch it. You need to be aware, because it's scary, it's eye-opening, and I fear more for the kind of children that fall within teenage, you know, young teenagers now, more than perhaps the younger generations, because I think hopefully younger generations will be more kind of protective measures in place to protect them. It's the children that are kind of anything from, say, probably 8 years of age through to kind of 16. That's probably the kind of demographic that are going to be most affected. So if you have children within that category, watch that documentary. It's a Channel 4 documentary called Swiped. And even if you're abroad, I'm sure you'll be able to kind of find the documentary online somehow. But watch it. It's incredibly important that you do, because I think there's so much. I'm just going past someone for a minute, so just bear with me a second. I'll just go past someone and I'll carry this on. And yeah, so you need to watch it. It's just eye-opening, and it made me feel as a parent incredibly inadequate in terms of the measures I've put in place to protect my children. And it's made me think long and hard about what I can do to educate them, to make them aware, you know, of the dangers of being online with a smartphone that has very little control. I mean, we just seem to think that controlling the number of hours that they're online is a good thing to do as a parent. Now, yes, it is a good thing to do as a parent, but it needs to be deeper than that. It's like, what are your children kind of looking at? What are they accessing? And I think it was a really useful exercise to kind of go through this with my two eldest children and have a discussion with them to kind of make them aware of the dangers that their smart devices have. Now, yes, there are benefits to them having smart devices for tracking them and for them to be able to contact us if they need to, and all those types of things, which is important. But as parents, I think we need to be far more aware of how, you know, loose these smart devices are in terms of restricting children from accessing highly inappropriate and, to be quite frank, dangerous content. And the more we are aware of it, the more we talk to our children about it, and the more kind of government and kind of globally what we do to protect our children. I think it's something that we just need to be very aware of. And I don't have the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but I think awareness is the first thing of more parents, because, to be quite frank, so many parents are just completely unaware of the dangers of what's happening every minute of every day to our children. And by having an awareness and trying to educate our children better, and then hopefully having some kind of intervention at a governmental, countrywide, international-wide level, will help protect our children from this mental health tsunami and dangers that are taking the lives of our children, which is very, very scary. So it's a very morbid, deep one today, but hopefully it has been useful and it has opened our eyes. So yeah, that's it from me. Any questions or comments, drop me a line. I'll respond to everyone. Do remember though, if you believe in my mission of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon of run vlogging on consecutive days, distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style, do give this a subscribe, share, like and comment. More people we get in front of, more money we raise, more children's lives we save, which is why I do this every single day. Thank you as always. Stay positive, stay happy, and I'll see you again tomorrow.